Welcome to Vegan Business Talk with Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business. Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Vegan Business Talk. I'm Katrina Fox, journalist, author, media and PR coach, copywriter, editor and proofreader, and founder of Vegan Business Media, a content, events and training platform providing success tips for vegan business owners and entrepreneurs. In this episode, I interview Elizabeth Olsen, founder of Olsenhaus Pure Vegan, a footwear company that was launched in New York in 2008. Just 2 years later, in 2010, the line was sold in 16 countries in prominent retailers including Barney's and Nordstrom, as well as eco-boutique stores. Both the brand and Elizabeth have been featured in a ton of high-profile media, including the New York Times and Wall Street Journal. Olsenhaus shoes have captured the attention of celebrities, including Emily Deschanel, Alicia Silverstone, Gwyneth Paltrow and Cameron Diaz, and have even been displayed in museums. Before launching Olsenhaus, Elizabeth held a number of prestigious positions at renowned brands, including creative director for Tommy Hilfiger handbags and in creative direction and design for Calvin Klein, Nine West and many others. She also had a career as a wardrobe and prop stylist in film, commercials and print for clients including Nike, IBM, Nissan and Universal Studios, and was the producer and head of wardrobe for the photography agency Superstock. During her travels for these companies, Elizabeth witnessed the horrendous animal cruelty, devastating environmental pollution and hazardous working conditions in the leather industry, and launched Olsenhaus as a socially conscious alternative. Elizabeth runs the business out of Florida nowadays and is writing a book on consciousness. In this interview, she discusses the psychological strategies she uses to educate retail buyers to overcome resistance, overwhelm and defensiveness, why she decided to launch her online store after initially doing wholesale only, why she's joined forces in collaboration with 2 other vegan brands, including another vegan shoe company, how she got her shoes on the feet of celebrities, the importance of having legal counsel to protect your business, and much more. Here's the interview with Elizabeth Olsen from Olsenhaus Pure Vegan. Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I'm interested in finding out, what was your why? What's your reason or your driving force behind running Olsenhaus?
Mm-hmm. Well, I worked in the fashion industry for many years and was already like a vegetarian since I was 15, actually before that. So I wasn't eating animals, but here I was working in the fashion industry, mostly designing the bags, so sketching handbags and footwear. And then I was working freelance for a lot of different companies, and then I got a position as the creative director for Tommy Hilfiger handbags.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was making 6 figures, corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows, like the whole New York thing. And when I started there, they had just a PU line, an alternative leather line. And we did that for about a year. And then we got a new CEO, and she wanted to launch a leather line. And when I went overseas, I had to tour the tanneries in Korea and China. And it was a really eye-opening experience. I mean, I had to put on a hazmat suit, and the smell was just overwhelming, like chemicals that smelled toxic. And just seeing how the workers had to work with these chemicals and all of the runoff that then eventually becomes, environmental pollution. And as I was sitting down, I had to go through this whole pile of skins from, I believe it was sheep, actually. And I had to look at the whole pile of skins, and they were dyed blue, which blue is a very difficult color to dye. And you could see all the marks on the skin, and I had to reject a lot of the skins because with the big pattern pieces of the handbag, it wasn't going to work. And I just had this moment, like, here I am flipping through animal skins and having to reject them. and I'm not eating animals. Like, and I was so ashamed of myself. How did I not put two and two together?
Wow.
And it was at that moment I came back home to New York and left my job and did a lot of research on leather and the process. And I'd already worked in handbags for a long time, but I didn't see, and there was already like Matt and Nat, and vegan handbags were kind of easy to find, but it was the shoes. At the time, there was like Stella McCartney or Payless. There wasn't kind of that like in between brand. So, using what I went to school for and my knowledge, I was like, well, I'm going to start that brand and be open about being vegan and teach people about the process of leather.
Wow. Gosh, I love that story. I'm so glad you've shared that, because a lot of people don't realize, what goes on with leather. Somehow leather's sort of positioned as this kind of nice, environmentally friendly, kind of durable kind of product. But it's really great that you've raised that, about both the workers that suffer, the animals suffer, and the planet suffers. It's actually a really pretty awful material. So I'm really glad that you shared that. Wow, I didn't know you'd had that.
It really is.
Experience.
Yeah, and, it's... People think of leather as like a byproduct, like, well, they're going to kill the animal anyway, so then we're just doing a good thing and using all of the animal.
That's what I used to think. I justified that when I was a vegetarian.
Right.
I thought, oh yeah, it's okay to still wear the leather shoe because it's exactly that.
Yeah, but it's not true. Obviously, it contributes to 25% of a slaughterhouse's profit. So, a slaughterhouse is making money from it's actually not a very profitable business in and of itself. It's only because it's subsidized by the government. And then the selling of the skins, are they able to survive? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's supported by these other things. What was shocking to me is that I was into animal rights. I mean, when I was in high school, my friends and I started the first animal rights club, and we would show, wheel in the VCR with the giant TV strapped to the, wheelie cart, and we put in the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals videos, and so here I was, very, very passionate about animals' lives, and I still was wearing leather. I mean, I wasn't consciously seeking out leather. I just, if I saw something and I liked it, I bought it. I wasn't saying, is it leather? Is it not? So as conscious as I was about the animals' lives, it's still, and for so long, 20 years, it still didn't translate into leather for me. So I understand where the mass consciousness is at, but things are getting expedited now. The vegan foods and awareness of protein and bodybuilding, all the kind of body awareness things are happening. So I feel like more consciousness is going to come into the fashion area, and people think it's already taking off. I don't think it's even begun to take off yet.
Well, you're one of the pioneers, and you're right. I think I thought that as well. I felt really, really guilty when I first woke up, particularly about dairy. And I was like, because same as you, I was doing animal rights activism. I was even around probably vegans, and I hadn't learned the term vegan until many years later. And I think that just goes to show, I think, that how insidious it is, and what a good job, I guess, these industries do of brainwashing us. So, but you're right, it's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like the mind programs going on concerning animals and women. It's all tied in. So it's like animals and women, because that's where we're getting our dairy from, the female cows. It's all tied in together, and it's this giant mind program with many layers.
Absolutely.
So, I look forward to the mass consciousness coming into higher states of consciousness. But for me, I feel like it's taken a long time because I've been doing this a long time. And
how long has Olsenhaus been going, Elizabeth? How many years are you in now?
I launched it in August of 2008. So next month is 8 years.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. I haven't done anything in my life for 8 years. So the fact that this company's outlasted relationships, places I've lived, positions I've had.
And fantastic.
Honestly, it's been kind of a roller coaster of ups and downs in businesses, and there's been times when I've been like, should I keep doing this? Should I do something else? But it just comes back to the reason why I started it, which is for the animals.
Right.
And
Right.
I just adjust my lifestyle to keep the business going.
Awesome. Can you tell us about some of the key challenges you faced when you first started up Olsenhaus, and then maybe how they've changed as you've grown as a business?
Mm-hmm. It's been a little bit strange because when I first launched, I immediately got press and orders. So it was like the newness of the brand, and at that time, my I guess my will to make it happen was super strong. I was like, this is happening. And then I went through a couple different showrooms, and I've got some orders along the way, and kept building up customers and social media and things like that. And then some personal things started happening in my life, family things, and it affected the business because I had to leave New York and pull away a little bit. So never pulling away from fighting for the animals, and still producing and everything, but not the pushing that I was doing. I wouldn't even say pushing. I would just say, I was working 16-hour days, and I just simply, when I had personal things going on, I couldn't work 16 days. I just wasn't able to.
Sure,
The biggest challenge for me, because when I started the company, the original thought was, I really didn't know any other vegans either. I knew scattered people here and there that were vegetarian, but I didn't know all the vegan people that I know now. I did not know when I started the company, and I made the company to reach people who aren't vegan. I didn't make the company for vegans.
Right.
My mentality has always been to get it into the mainstream, and I have in Fred Segal and Nordstrom and bigger, more well-known stores than that. I love the little eco boutiques, but it was my main focus to get into the masses. And the problem there are the buyers at these stores, who a lot of them are older women or have been at the company a long time, and they have that same mindset of leather is quality. People will pay more money for leather. So my biggest challenge has been not only educating them against about something that is like the opposite of everything that they're buying. So there's like resistance there. There's all kinds of mixed emotions of them feeling, oh, well, this is cool. This is the truth, and this is the direction we should be going in. But the transition from having an entire floor of all leather shoes to what I'm talking about is overwhelming. And then I've seen people get defensive. I've seen like everything.
I bet.
Yeah, and that's really the biggest challenge, is getting through to these buyers who just will not budge on this mindset of leather is the luxury standard and people will pay more money for it. I've literally had people say, no one's going to pay, $150 for this pair of shoes because it isn't leather.
It's an interesting one, but you know what you mentioned about how things are changing. There was an article recently, I think it was in Forbes or one of the big business magazines, about Rolls-Royce, the big huge mega luxury car manufacturer. They're actually starting to look at or to consider like vegan materials, but one of the challenges they cited exactly what you said, is that there's this perceived luxury around leather, because apparently they get their leather from this certain type of Spanish bull, and you know what I mean, so it's seen as exclusive and luxury. But the fact that they're even, I suppose, open to considering other options, I'm hopeful that there's maybe a shift. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that. When you're sharing with the buyer, like when you're educating them, are you educating them from like an ethical point of view, like telling them about the animal cruelty and the environment, or are you kind of just saying, no, look, the product is superior because of this? So, or do you do a bit of both?
I do a bit of both, and I do some reading of the other person's energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I kind of see what they're responding to and go with that direction. It's really tricky. But what I really try to stick to is the quality of the product, because I've worked with the same factory for 8 years, and I have a very high quality standard. And anyone that has bought my shoes and seen them knows that. And I've been told that, out in at conferences and festivals and stuff. So I stick with that, and I layer in facts. I usually stick with like more environmental stuff, because when you start getting into the animal stuff, I'm talking to meat eaters, and it just, I don't want to say it's mind blowing for them, but if you give someone too much information and you go really hard on the ethical stuff, they're going to block it.
Yeah.
And so really, it's being vegan and having a vegan business, you do a lot of like psychology, reverse psychology. I mean, it's exhausting. It's so all the different approaches we're like coming. You know what I mean? I do. Is like, it's a great prop in a way to talk about animals, which is how I'm using it. That's awesome. So, and I wanted to go back to the car thing, is that Mercedes-Benz has been using, a quote, faux leather, alternative leather for years and years and years. Oh, my car had it. Because I was like, when I went vegan, I was like, oh, my car has leather. And they're like, no, it's not leather. I was like, oh, perfect. But yeah, they've been using it for years and years. So. Oh, that's
great. Yeah. So let's hope we see some shifts. So thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. So just on that, like you mentioned, your products are available in a number of both online and physical retail stores, including, like you mentioned, some of those big names. What, aside from the resistance that you mentioned with the buyers, what tips can you offer for how to go about any brand, whether it's shoes or, food products or whatever, about how to go about, for someone who's starting up a business, how they could get their brand into these kind of stores?
Well, the word vegan is having some attention now, and people are using the word plant-based and things like that, which is fine. I mean, whatever, it's kind of all the same. But when you say plant-based, it kind of leaves out the element of fashion, because a plant-based shoe,
it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it?
It sounds bizarre, and it's not really possible at this point. I mean, you've got to, I'm sure there is somebody out there doing an entirely plant-based shoe with the sole and everything, but right now, for the kind of styles that I'm doing, it's not really feasible. So I put vegan in the logo a long time ago, before there was even kind of a thing about the word. But I would say being transparent and using that word, either vegan or plant-based, and really providing the information is the main purpose in even starting a business of any type. Like a mission behind it, and to make positive, higher consciousness choices or provide higher consciousness choices for people, because that is the future of humanity. I mean, there's so much resistance right now, but it is the future. What is going on now cannot be sustained.
Absolutely. So in terms of, you mentioned you deal with buyers. So are you dealing with like one buyer for several stores, or are you dealing with buyers specifically for individual stores? And can you explain that a little bit?
Each store or each, company, like Nordstrom, will have a set of buyers, like a head buyer and then assistant buyers. Each store has its own buyer. And
you get in contact with them directly?
Well, I have done both. I've had people, I've hired people to do it for me, and that's why I was talking about the salesperson, kind of getting somebody trained. To find somebody that can speak about the product the way that I can is very difficult.
Right.
So I've had to do over the years a lot of, kind of jumping in and providing the information. But the person that I've found is pretty great, and she is vegan. So that's good. So yeah, you're dealing with a lot of different personality types when you deal with the buyers, and there's not. I wish there was just one person I could go to that could get it in all different types of stores, but that doesn't exist.
Right, for sure. And you also have your own online store as well, so you're selling direct to consumers as well as getting in the retail stores. Okay, fantastic.
I didn't really start out that way. I started out just doing wholesale, because I didn't want to compete with the accounts that I was selling to wholesale. But, as you go down the years, you've got, extra styles left over and all that. And I originally just started the online store just to get rid of the, the extra stock that I had, the onesies or the twosies, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, but now I do sell from online directly.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about competition, because there's now, a much more diverse range of vegan shoe brands. A lot of people kind of coming into the market. How do you go about standing out both, within the vegan business arena and outside of it, and maintaining regular customers?
Well, around when I started, there were two other brands that started as well. And, it's human nature to see them as competition. And I kind of go in and out of it. I mean, yes, they are competition, but we all have different styles. Like, no one's ever going to make the exact same shoe, and look at how many different brands there are in leather shoes. So there's room in the market, and I just do what I do, make sure it's high quality and make sure the message is pure, and whatever happens, happens, I have seen a lot of vegan brands start up, and I wish them luck. It's a very difficult industry, but I feel like I've kind of paved the way for them quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Talking about this stuff and getting press on it, which I got a lot of press. But I'm kind of working on different things now. I'm writing a book on consciousness, which will, tell the story of Olsenhaus and a whole bunch of other things. So,
wonderful. Wonderful.
Kind of bringing the whole thing together, because it's not just being vegan or just doing yoga or just meditating or just, it's none of these singular things. It's all of these things together. And
got it. That makes
all
sense.
the separation that's happening, all of the shootings, all of the uproar about people's sexuality, all the uproar about, religion and war and all of those things. It's all connected to this idea of separation, which is very obvious in humans versus animals in people's minds.
Yeah.
So it's all connected. So it's just the book's kind of going to talk about all of those things.
Oh, I look forward to reading that. That sounds wonderful. That's congratulations. Now, you touched on media. You got a lot of media too, certainly particularly when you launched. So how did that come about? Like, did you hire a PR agency? Did you deal direct with the media? Did they come to you? How did that sort of come about?
Well, in the very beginning, I'm trying to think back. In the very beginning, no, I didn't have a PR. I didn't have anybody calling, nothing. I literally, I had the samples made with the factory, had the photographs taken and put up a website. And then immediately, this publication in New York was called Time Out. It kind of.
Oh, yeah. I know Time Out. Yeah, there's one in London and Sydney.
In big cities.
Cool.
It tells you what to do in the city. And they contacted me right away and did an interview. That was my very first interview ever. I had never contacted them. I, just answer the questions. And then the publication was out the next couple of weeks or so. And I picked up the magazine at the grocery store and saw the interview, and I screamed. I was just like, was not used to seeing my face in a magazine with words that I had said, and it was just really freaky. But it was, and then I got my first order. They just called me. They were from California, and they just called me. So no, I didn't have anything set up at first. And I started getting more press, and then I had a showroom contact me, an eco showroom. They're no longer in existence. And I signed on with them, and they kind of took over stuff. But it was really, people use this word, it was really organic the way it started. It just kind of started.
It's interesting you say that, because I always say when I teach people, because my background is journalism, and that's a really great example of how you get into one media outlet and then it kind of snowballs because, other media are reading other media or listening to it or watching it. And then they're like, oh, okay, how can we put a spin on it and do something different? So that's a really, really great example of that.
Yeah, I then hired, some assistants, and then later on I had interns as well. And I would tell them, look, it's the magazine's job and the media's job to know the next up and coming cool thing and to stay totally on top of what's happening. And that's what we are. We are what is happening now. Like, we are what's going to be happening in the future. And so become friends with these people, and they'll keep you in their mind when they're doing other
That's
stories.
right.
But
absolutely. Yeah. You become a source.
Yeah, totally. But, and, as long as I've always fully cooperated, like, oh, you want a picture? Here's a picture. Here's images. I mean, whatever you want. I don't, they're like, oh, can we take some from the website? Of course. I mean, you didn't even really have to ask. So, yeah, getting the media is really easy if you're doing something that's like new and fresh and cool and,
Yeah, for sure. And I guess as well, as you go on, as you become an older brand, you can do the whole anniversary thing, so you could do the whole 5-year, 10-year, 20-year thing, which I think Tofurky did a year or so ago. Tibbet said a similar thing, got lots of press to begin with because it was new. But then as you get older, you can kind of do the kind of anniversary card and get a little bit of media coverage that way. So
yeah, that's how I kind of, like last year I was feeling like I need to get back out there again. I've kind of rested on the work that I did before. I mean, nothing changed with the product or the styling, but I felt like, okay, I need to kind of take my mind back to the beginning. And it was almost like kind of a new beginning last year. And this year with this new salesperson, and so, the thing about collaborating with a question you had, I'm joining forces with like 2 other vegan brands, and we're doing the Veg Fest and the animal rights conferences and things. Kind of getting back. I'm getting back out there. One of the other brands is like 5. Actually, they're both kind of older brands. Not older.
Are they shoe brands or complementary?
One is Bourgeois Bohème. They're out of
I
the
spoke
UK.
to Alicia. I interviewed Alicia earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
How funny.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. So yeah,
she mentioned that she was collaborating with some brands in America. So you're obviously one of them.
It's me, and then Gunas handbags.
Oh,
Sagunda.
lovely! Yeah, I know Sagund. Oh, how lovely! Oh, 3 of my favorite brands. I'm so glad
great.
you're collaborating.
Yeah, we all have really great products with good quality. And our styling is all different. And, just in emailing and talking, we all kind of have the same mindset of elevating vegan fashion. And, you go to these vegan festivals and you rent a table, or they give you one for speaking or whatever. And, they're long days, and you're talking to a lot of people. And it just shows a more cohesive package to have like 3 brands sitting there and then one person representing them.
Absolutely. That's a great example of collaboration among vegan brands. I'm really delighted. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem. And we're doing the shows all across the U.S. for the rest of the year. So, like Segunda's doing the one in Washington, D.C., and then with our salesperson, Brenda, and then Brenda's coming to Chicago, and her and I will do Chicago. And then she flies back and does the Southern California one. So we're kind of like dipping all over.
All over the place. That's wonderful.
And dividing up the work.
Excellent strategy. Now, as well as the media, you've also had some really great celebrity endorsements. You've had the likes of Cameron Diaz wearing your shoes, Moby, Emily Deschanel. How did you get that to happen? Like, did you, again, was that through some kind of agency? Did you approach them directly? How did that come about?
It's also kind of happened organically also. I didn't really seek out celebrities. But Emily Deschanel is a long-time vegan and works with Farm Sanctuary, so I think that's how I met her, through Farm Sanctuary. Colby Calais, one that worn my shoes. I met her stylist in LA when I was doing a shoot for TV Guide, and they're her stylist, and they said, oh, she's vegan and we want to keep in contact with you for some shoes. And then they also put me in contact with The Price is Right, the television show here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And because they do eco products on their Earth Day specials. So they put Olsenhaus on Price is Right 2 Earth Days in a row a couple of years ago.
Wow.
The other celebrities, Cameron Diaz wore a pair of sandals of mine in Vogue, in American Vogue.
That's
many years
very
ago.
cool. That's great. Kudos for your product. So when you say she wore them, so did she just kind of happen to wear them and then you found out and then you just kind of go, oh, look, Cameron Diaz wore the shoes and put that on your website? Or did she kind of contact you and request them or buy them or something?
No, she didn't contact me. I was actually with the smaller Ego showroom in New York City, and they got a press request for a celebrity for Vogue. A lot of times they won't tell you who it is, and they sent, a variety of shoes, and then, on the shoot, either Cameron or her stylist picked my shoes to wear in the photo shoot.
Right.
It happens all different kinds of ways.
It's just curious. I'm always curious about that, how that happens, with, getting the celebrities to wear it, whether you kind of, send them free shoes and hope for the best, or whether there's, other strategic type ways of doing it, particularly for smaller brands who maybe can't afford to, just kind of send things out randomly. So,
Yeah, it's I have had some celebrities take the shoes, which is essentially stealing them because I wasn't gifting them to them. But then I have other ones that are great, like Emily Deschanel. She'll just send in an order. She fully is fine with buying, and let's see who else. Well, and I just got a request for Joaquin Phoenix, the actor, for a movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
His costumer contacted me, so I sent some shoes for that. So it's kind of like you just have to weigh the balance. And believe me, I've sent out a lot of shoes that never made it onto the celebrity's feet. So, it's, that's always disappointing, but, it is what it is. So You just have to kind of gauge, what the project is, what is the likelihood that you'll get a picture of the celebrity in the shoes, or whatever. Colby Calais, I've been fortunate in, getting the shoes on the celebrities. I could do more, but I'd also be paying a PR company a lot of money per month.
Do you have any experience with celebrity gifting type events I've heard about that happen particularly a lot in LA?
Yeah, I get emails for those things all the time for the award shows and everything. But I don't have a product that I can put in a gift bag, So if I did, I would do it and see how it went. I know they also do celebrity gifting suites, I guess, where you set up a table.
Yes, that's right.
I've never done one. One.
That's great. So you've had a lot happening, organically. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. I've always been kind of curious how people go about that. So I appreciate you sharing those little trade secrets.
Yeah, and I think that if you're putting out a product that's vegan, there are a lot of celebrities seeking that. And even though they might not be open about the fact that they're vegan, they're definitely eating that way. That's their lifestyle, to kind of stay looking their youngest, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that's where media comes in again, because that's where they'll maybe hear about you, and then become aware of your brand, for sure. What about social media, Elizabeth? What social media platforms are you most active on, or what are most successful for a shoe brand such as yours?
These days you have to do all of them. And what was really funny about social media is when it first was becoming a thing many years ago, like Facebook, my assistant was like, you need to get on Facebook. I was like, I don't need that. I was like, I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, I don't need that. She's like, no, you really need it. And luckily I had, a much younger assistant. And so she's the one that set it up. She set it up, and she's like, you have to have a personal to have a business. I go, I don't want a personal. So, Facebook used to be the thing, and you used to do stuff to grow that. And then that all kind of changed a couple of years ago. And I talked to some PR people. I'm like, how come I used to get all these likes and now I don't get likes? Like, what's happening? They're like, oh, they're doing gate blocking. And now you have to, unless you put money into sponsor into an advertising campaign, you won't get any traction. Like, you'll get like 1 or 2 likes, and you're just like, wait, what? So if there's a post that I want people to see, I'll put like $20 on it or something, and it'll reach, 7,000 to 8,000 people or something like that. I haven't really spent a lot of money on advertising. I haven't had to. And I've kind of not wanted to. You know what I mean? I've kind of felt like I have the product. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. But you have to put money there. And then now, of course, social media is more popular. Not social media, sorry. Instagram is more popular now.
Yeah.
So I've been trying
I can imagine with your shoes, it would be quite visual. So that would probably be quite a good platform for you to show your shoes because people want to see them.
Yeah. So I've been trying to post more because I didn't come from the generation that's constantly taking selfies and picture. I didn't really come from that. I mean, we used to have a camera with film and you're like, okay, I have 24 shots or whatever. Do I want to take, you thought about it. Now you're just like, snip, 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 snip. And, I'll put a filter on or whatever. It's like so different. Like literally taking a picture of yourself used to be considered really cheesy.
I know.
And now it's just like, when I do it, I just feel so like weird. But
that's funny. I know.
You've got to do. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I kind of think I'm so glad that social media wasn't around when I was young, like in my 20s. I'm sure I would have posted a lot of inappropriate things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we can just keep ours tucked away.
Exactly.
Yeah, because these days the employers look at the person's Facebook page.
That's right. You're right. They do when they're looking for people to recruit. And I think a lot of young people don't think about that, or it's very interesting.
They're more aware of it now because stuff has happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't grow up like that. I mean, it could have come into popularity like in my late 20s, I guess. Early 30s, and it would have been fine, but it didn't. So yeah, it was a little bit of like a learning curve. Like, I have to pay attention to this. It's something you have to pay attention to like all the time. But what's changing? What's changing now is that you can buy likes. There's companies that sell likes and sell interactions. So now you go on someone's page and they have 30,000 likes. 30,000, whatever. I'm talking about Instagram. Yeah. And you're like, you do? Really? Like, it just doesn't seem legit. It's not really a good gauge of how popular or unpopular a company is. And what I've also noted, it's not a good gauge of the actual sales of that company.
Right.
Because I look at people that have more followers and I'm like, I'm doing more business than you are. I have less followers, but I'm doing more business.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people are starting to realize that now, that it's not just all about, how many, because I think there was a report done actually that found that a lot of big celebrities, including presidents, like, and politicians, about like a large proportion are exactly. So it's, it's all becoming a bit strange on social media.
Yeah, it's all like diluted. So I just keep it really organic. I just post good content of mostly the shoes, the product. I don't center it around myself, and it is what it is.
Exactly. So now you mentioned you had a job before you started your business. So for those people who are, they're employed at the moment, but they aspire to owning a vegan run business, what, in your opinion, Elizabeth, what are the key things that they need to take into account before making that leap from employment to self-employed or running their own business?
I mean, I really think the most important thing is to be in the field or industry that you want to start the business in. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to start a vegan restaurant like, you should have worked there and at least managed. I mean, you really need to know the ins and outs, because once you get into your own company, I mean, things come out of the woodwork that you never would have imagined, and you really need to know what you're doing to make it last. So many businesses open and fail for this very reason. The person doesn't know the industry that they open in.
Right. No, it's a very good point. It's a really good point. So what are some of the mistakes that aspiring business owners make? That's obviously one of them that you touched on there.
Mm-hmm. That's the main one. And then the other one is you really need to pace yourself for the business. possibly not making money for a number of years. I was fortunate that I made money right away, but then it tapered off, and I wasn't prepared for that. I thought, oh, wow, we're off to a good start, and we're just going to keep growing and growing and growing. Having your own business is like riding a roller coaster, and especially when you're trying to do something that's new and teach people. I mean, it's like, whew. So you just have to put your seatbelt on and be ready. So if you're not ready for that and you can't handle the stress of that and the financial part of that, then you're not ready.
That's a good point, actually.
I would say kind of the investor part and taking other people's money, that's a tricky thing too. People have offered me money, people have offered to buy the company, etc. But, I can't be 100% sure that they would continue the way that I've done it. And I'd still have to speak for the company anyway, but I just didn't want to let it go because I didn't want to see it go away or take any chances of it going away. And it's tricky when somebody else owns your company or is giving you a substantial amount of money. They can do whatever they want.
That's right. So, yeah. People can sometimes get a bit excited about, oh, great, someone's investing, but then they don't kind of realize, well, that actually means they've got some control over it and they've got a say in it, and it may not be what your vision is. So that's a good point.
And also, understanding the legal aspect. I mean, I've hired multiple showrooms, and I've had disasters occur, and I had to take people to court, and like all of these things that you never really, especially if you're a creative person, you don't really think about that in terms of the business side. So I'd say also having some legal counsel from the very beginning.
That's a really good point as well. Yeah, that is good. I'm glad you've raised that. You touched on the money, like the financial side of things. So obviously there's different ways, as we mentioned, to start up a business and to grow it. Whether that's investing, loans, grants, and of course crowdfunding nowadays. What were some of the ways that you've used to start and grow Olsenhaus? If you're comfortable sharing that.
Well, it's totally self-funded. I'm a very private person to begin with, so
yeah, for sure. So you had your job,
I had the job with Tommy Hilfiger. Sorry. Did you hear that?
Yeah, you had your job with Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah, so it was like kind of you self-funded it. Yeah,
I did. I self-funded it. I was making six figures there, and I saved money. I could have saved a lot more if I knew I was saving towards something, but I didn't. And then my parents, I got a very large order. My parents factored some money for me, meaning they gave me the money to pay for the production, and then I paid them back when I got paid, because the larger accounts will not pay you for 90 days or whatever. So I did that one time, about 2 years in. But no, from then on, the business maintains itself financially.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, I'd like it to do a lot more, but it is what it is. And I did not want to take in investors because I wanted to keep the message and what I was doing pure. I've never done the crowdfunding thing because I feel like that's really just for startups. And I've had people like, why don't you do that? It's like, I'm not going to. This is for 8 years. I'm not going to go, I need to crowdfund. That's a little strange. I've seen people do it, but I don't know.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I think that's actually good advice, just to remind people, that, it is a good idea that while you've got your salaried job, to put some money aside so you're not just kind of jumping feet first and hoping for the best. So I'm glad that you raised that. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you actually was about the use of the word vegan in your marketing materials, because like you said, you mentioned it, you put it in very early on. So tell us a little bit about that, because there's different, schools of thought about whether we should use the word vegan or it's too scary, or now it's become a bit more trendy. Tell us a little bit about your choice of the use of the word of it and its prominence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have it in the logo, and I have since the beginning, and people told me I shouldn't, and I did not listen, because there's a lot of shoes out there already, and there's a lot of shoes that are vegan, not made of leather, but that are made in China, and they're just made that way because the material's cheaper and, whatever else. So I wanted to distinguish myself from those types of brands, and I don't produce in China either. And it's the main reason for even starting the line, is so I can talk about the animals and talk about how they produce leather and how it affects the environment. I mean, it's the reason for the company existing.
Wonderful.
So to not, I mean, I don't know. I'm a pretty direct person, and I didn't really see it as using it as marketing. I saw it more as being honest and getting the conversation started.
And no regrets?
For putting vegan in the title?
Yeah.
No, never.
Awesome.
Never.
Awesome. No, I love that. It's great.
No.
It's another one of those discussions that's going on, it's like, should we, what word should we use?
Are people saying, well, now that there's this term plant-based out there, I mean, there'll be another word. Believe me, there'll be another word.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
The word vegan is all-encompassing. It means I don't eat or wear animals. Plant-based is kind of like I eat plants, but it leaves out all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. I think it's fantastic that you're taking a leadership position on that. That's wonderful. So the last couple of questions are around mindset. And I know you mentioned that you're writing a book on consciousness, which is fantastic. So tell us about some of the, what personal qualities do you believe are essential to staying the course and running a successful business, and particularly an ethical business?
Mm-hmm. One that I'm not really good at is patience. I want things to happen like yesterday, and I don't understand why they don't. Why does it take so long? Why is everyone so stupid? So patience is really key, and being able to, monitor your emotions and staying professional, because things will happen that will infuriate you, and you just have to kind of take a breath and just deal with whatever's happening. Not overreacting when crazy things happen. And staying centered in why you even started the business.
So it comes back to the why.
Yeah, it's mind control is really what it is.
So are there any specific, are there any specific things that you do, like strategies or techniques to use to kind of ensure a strong mental and emotional well-being as a business owner? So I'm talking things like maybe meditation, self-help type stuff, or anything like that.
I've meditated before I even knew what that word meant. So, before I was a teenager, I was meditating, and I didn't think anything of it. I just did it. So yes, I meditate. I do yoga and eat healthy. Right now I'm doing a juice fast, which I do periodically. And of course, being vegan, you don't have to worry about a lot of things that other people, organ failures and all this kind of stuff is just not even an issue if you're not taking in meat and the chemicals and stuff. So yeah, I do all of those things. I like to spend a lot of time outside. And I live in Florida, so we have the beach and I can hike in the woods and stuff. Just really very mind clearing. And, that's why people enjoy nature, because plants are of a higher consciousness than humans. So you're actually elevating your consciousness when you are amongst them. That's why it feels so good.
No, I've wondered that. I always love being in nature. That's why, because I live in the city, so I love that there are parks around, because it makes such a difference when you get out of your typical environment and just be around trees and nature. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. What have been some of the key lessons you've learned through running Olsenhaus?
Really the biggest lesson for me has been patience. And patience for the business side and patience for humanity, really. And that's really, really, it's been a long time for me trying to get to this point, because I don't understand in my own mind how it's not so obvious we shouldn't be doing these things, and why you can't just change immediately. I think that you can change immediately and should. but that they don't respond to that. So it's like patience and balance are the things that I've really taken from Olsenhaus, and I feel like I've reached that now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's been a long time. And I've definitely learned a lot about people. And oddly enough, I've learned to relax.
That's an interesting one. I like that. There's not many people who have said that. That's a really cool answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of anxiety in owning your own business, especially in the beginning, and it can wear on you. And if you just stay true to what you're doing and relax and let it flow, it feels a lot better. And
I love that. That's really good advice.
I did not, believe me, I did not want to do it. Like, I lived in New York City. I was like, relax. Like, I'm not going to relax. I'll relax when I'm dead. You know, I'm relaxing. Everyone is vegan. It's just like, okay, Elizabeth, like, relax already. Like, it's not your problem. So you don't have to carry the whole weight of this. And, you know, also kind of the collaborating and joining forces thing. It feels really good.
Absolutely. No, it's really good advice. I love that. I can take heed of that myself. Relax. I felt myself relaxing as you said that. So
I mean, relax, like chill out. I mean, isn't that kind of the message that we want to promote anyway? Like health and balance. So like if you're all like aggressive and anxiety, like no one wants to be like that.
That's true. That's true, actually.
So if you're relaxed and chill and, you know, confident, then it's like they can respond to that energy.
Yeah, because they're like, yeah, I want some of that. What's she doing to make that happen? And then they open the conversation, and then they're more open to hearing your message. So, yeah, that's great. So what's your long-term vision, Elizabeth, for Olsenhaus and yourself? I know you touched on the book. What other things are in store for you down the track?
Well, you know, branching out into other categories has always been something that I've wanted to do. Doing some handbags, some belts, you know, things that are all related to the accessories industry. There are those things that exist, but just to add a little bit to it. I've wanted to, for a while now, open a vegan restaurant. Where I live in Florida, there are not any. There's not any. There are some juice places that have opened up, but there's no full go into a restaurant, sit down, eat really amazing food that's all vegan. You know, a lot of the places that serve wraps and stuff, you can get vegetable wraps or whatever. We do have a vegan raw restaurant, but it's about 30 minutes away. So, and I resisted for a while. I've always wanted, I'll open something in New York or LA. Those things are already happening there. And it's not happening here. So I may end up opening something here.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
I'm not sure. And if it's only just so I can go eat there. But, you know, I mean, bringing it here, and I keep talking to people around town. And I live in a, you know, it's growing more cosmopolitan. It's spread out all over the place. But, you know, we have a beautiful beach and we have a lot of water. We have the Intracoastal, and there's a lot of boating going on here. And we have all of the things of a big city, but it's very behind in kind of the more progressive health stuff.
Well, you're obviously pioneering, so it sounds like you're maybe hearing the call to be pioneering in the food industry.
Yeah, well. I mean, we do have a small vegan community here. We actually have, his name's Adam. He runs an organization called One Protest, and he's getting rather large, and he makes posters for groups that protest different things, the circus. We just recently had a bear hunt here in Florida, so he was protesting that, and they actually got it stopped. They were going to do another one. They got it stopped. So he's here, and there's a couple of other vegan organizations, but the vegan restaurant thing is lacking. And I could easily partner with a restaurant in New York that is already existing and doing amazing, and just bring it here.
Right. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got some amazing goals. That's fantastic. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll certainly look forward to reading your book. So do keep me posted when that's out.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you've shared some lovely information, really helpful information and expertise and insights, Elizabeth. It's been absolutely lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Okay. Thank you.
So that was Elizabeth Olsen from Olsenhaus Pure Vegan. You can find out more at olsenhaus.com. And that link is on the show notes page at veganbusinessmedia.com/podcasts and going to episode 42. Now for our Vegan Business News Roundup. Demand by students for plant-based food has prompted US college campuses to significantly up their vegan offerings. According to the latest Vegan Report Card survey carried out by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals Peter II Youth Division, the number of schools offering at least one daily vegan option has more than doubled over the past 2 years to 62%, compared to 45% in 2015 and 28% in 2014. The survey of 1,500 four-year colleges and universities across the US also found that 9% of colleges now have an all-vegan dining station, and American University, the University of California, San Diego, the University of North Texas, and Warren Wilson College have dining facilities on their campuses that are entirely vegan. Health, environment, and animal welfare were among the concerns cited by students. The Vegan Report Card grades every school's dining programme on various criteria, including the availability of vegan food at every meal. It also features an interactive map that helps students compare their school's score to those of campuses nearby. So this is good news for vegan business owners who work in the food sector. Not only is there the possibility of collaborating with educational institutions, the fact that students are embracing plant-based foods at school means they're likely to seek out vegan-friendly eateries outside the premises. It's great to see young people leading the way and embracing food that's good for everyone. Spiral Diner, a vegan eatery in Dallas-Fort Worth, is planning to open a third location, reports Culture Map Dallas. The award-winning restaurant will open in 2017 in Denton, one of North Texas's most vegan-friendly towns. It's certainly all happening in Dallas. This is about the third or fourth story I've reported on in the past few weeks. Spiral Diner opened its first outlet in 2002 in Fort Worth and a second one in Dallas in 2008. It's known for its vegan versions of diner classics with a Tex-Mex twist, including nachos, veggie burgers, chili burritos, hot plates, sandwiches and salads, all served in a 50s-style surroundings. The new venue in Denton will also feature a large patio. It's great to see another vegan business expand. I've only ever been to Dallas Airport to get a connecting flight from Sydney to New York, but I hope to get there at some stage to check out these vegan eateries. Vegan cafe and bar Mono in Glasgow has been named as the Scottish city's favourite business, reports the Evening Times. The venue took out the top gong at the 2016 Glasgow Business Awards, which are organised by the city's Chamber of Commerce. Mono opened in 2002 to provide a space for people to enjoy good food and drink and enjoy live music, art performances and exhibitions. And it shares its roof space with an independent music store, Monorail Music. The business beat the other 5 contenders that included a mall, a brewery and restaurant, a bar, a science centre and an online children's wear retailer. This is such good news. I met Craig Tannock, the director of Mono, last year at a business networking breakfast I hosted at London VegFest UK, and it's so lovely to see vegan businesses winning these kinds of awards. You may remember in a previous episode of Vegan Business Talk, I reported that readers of Time Out magazine in Melbourne, Australia, voted a vegan restaurant as their favourite eatery. It's also worth noting that it's important for vegan businesses to enter these kinds of awards. I recently helped a vegan business here in Sydney put together their application for their local business awards, and they were shortlisted. Even if you don't win, it's still a fantastic profile building opportunity. You can capitalise on being nominated, shortlisted, and of course if you win. And often these awards have ceremonies and local media attend, and it's great for networking. So I really encourage you to enter awards whenever you can. And if you need help putting together your application or you need it edited, these are services that I offer, and you can get in touch with me by email at katrina@veganbusinessmedia.com. As you'll know from previous episodes of Vegan Business Talk, vegan grocery stores are on the rise. The latest is in Toronto, Canada, reports BlogTO. Good Rebel is not shying away from the V word. In fact, it's gone so far as to emblazon a large V in a circle on the white brick front of the building. The store features a range of products, including food, cleaning items and clothing. Owners Mercedes Featherby and Mohsin Akbarali also offer ready-to-eat sandwiches, salads and smoothies. As well as being vegan, many of the products sold are also local. Their cheese fridge features Ontario brands such as Nuts for Cheese from London, Tree Nut Cheese from Toronto, and Boo Moo from Guelph. They even sell cheese making kits for those who like to do it themselves. You know, I wrote in the introduction to my book, Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business, that my vision is that every store on every street and every mall and every airport is all vegan. It's a grand vision, I know, and some may say it's idealistic, but each time I hear about vegan businesses expand and vegan stores and supermarkets like this one open, it's one small step closer to mainstreaming vegan living. I love sharing these stories, and I do hope you enjoy hearing about them. I did worry with doing a weekly podcast whether there'd be enough vegan business-related stories to cover each week. I'm thrilled that there's plenty, and I've never come up short since episode 1 launched back in January. And on that note, if you know of any vegan business-related news, do get in touch and let me know, as I may cover it in an upcoming episode. You can reach me at katrina@veganbusinessmedia.com. Finally, meat giant Tyson has invested in vegan protein alternative company Beyond Meat. As part of Beyond Meat's latest fundraising initiative, it's given Tyson a 5% ownership stake in the company for an undisclosed sum. The investment will provide additional capital to help Beyond Meat expand its product portfolio and distribution. According to a joint media release, Beyond Meat will remain an independent, privately held company led by founder and CEO Ethan Brown. The news was reported widely in mainstream media, including the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, and it's been largely celebrated by animal rights advocates, with the hope that these kinds of investments by meat producers into plant-based foods will reduce the numbers of animals killed. Now, some have raised concerns that investments in vegan businesses may be used to prop up the meat company's animal-based industry. Tyson Foods Executive Vice President of Strategy and New Ventures and President of Food Service, Monica McGurk, said the move meets our desire to offer consumers choices and to consider how we can serve an ever-growing and diverse global population while remaining focused on our core prepared foods and animal protein businesses. Now, certainly Tyson is not known for its ethical treatment of animals. Animal rights groups have exposed extreme cruelty by workers to chickens, for example. So it remains to be seen how this investment will play out. I'd like to be optimistic and believe that as consumer demand becomes so great for plant-based foods, meat producers such as Tyson will invest more into it and far less into animal products. Let's hope that's the case, and let's keep promoting vegan living to expand that demand. So that's it for this episode of Vegan Business Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a review and rating on iTunes or any other platform you're listening on. Finally, I encourage you to head over to veganbusinessmedia.com, where you can find more resources, including details of my media and PR consultations, copywriting, editing, and proofreading services to help you grow your vegan business. I'm Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode of Vegan Business Talk. Bye for now.